Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Sue and today we are doing a Hatha style yoga class with a focus on upper body strengthening. Let's start off in child's pose. Take your knees out a little wider, bring the toes together and let the upper body relax on the mat, stretching the arms out in front of you. Forehead on the ground and just allow your spine to relax here, shoulders and arms relaxing. Just softening through the facial features, allow the arms to grow heavy and take a few more deep breaths here to set and center. Allow the body to relax and the mind to relax as well. Let's put aside everything else and arrive right here, right now on the mat for our yoga class. Good. All right. Let's take that one more inhale, big inhale through the nose. And slow exhale out through the nose. Next inhale, press up into a tabletop position onto your hands and knees. And you have your knees a little about hips width apart, hands about shoulders width apart. Good spread to those fingers. Press down into those hands, especially the thumbs and index fingers, really round at the spine. Tuck the chin in, tailbone tucks under. Good. And next inhale, allow the belly to drop. Lift the chin. And just a few of these at your own pace. Exhale to round. Press down into those fingers. Inhale. Let the belly drop. Alright, and let's start to warm up a little bit more through the shoulders. Yeah, exhale to round out the spine and draw back as though you're coming into child's pose. Really stretch it. Keep those arms engaged. Inhale to come up. Let the belly drop. Lift the chin. Good. Press down into the hands. Round the spine. Take it back. Inhale to come forward. The belly drop and lift the chin up a little. One more time. Inhale to come forward, let the belly drop, lift the chin up slightly, and then draw back once more into a child's pose. You can set up the legs however it's comfortable for you. Maybe the knees a little wider, toes together. And while remaining in this child's pose, walk your hands slightly over to one side of the mat and allow the upper body to just relax there and to soften. Just feel that good stretch to the opposite side of the body, into the shoulders, the side body. Good. Inhale to come back up and then do the same thing on the other side. Walk your hands forward a little to one side and then draw back. Good. Inhale, let's bring it back to the center, back to a tabletop position, more in a high push-up, more in a push-up position on your knees. So make sure to align the shoulders over the wrist. Good spread to the fingers, toes pointed straight back. And then as you exhale, press down into those hands. You press your hips up and back, allowing the head to drop as best as you can in between the shoulders, in between the arms. And inhale to shift forward. Strong, engage your abdominal muscles as you press down into the hands. Make sure everything is nice and strong. Exhale, draw back. Good shoulder stretch. And inhale to shift forward. And one more time here, draw back. And then shift forward. Hold it here in your high plank pose on your knees, or you can lift the knees off the mat coming into high plank, just pausing it here. Good. One more deep breath. And then we'll gently lower all the way down onto the floor to come into a Sphinx pose, forearms on the ground. Good. Spread to the fingers. Have your forearms parallel to one another. Your feet about hips width apart. Press down into the hands, draw the chest forward and up. Good, and a few deep breaths here. In through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, one more deep breath. And exhale to release, soften. Place your hands under the shoulders, slightly closer towards the chest. Squeeze those elbows in closer towards one another. Curl your toes under. Press up into tabletop. And then if If you're ready to come into down dog, you're going to press down into those fingers, lift the knees off the ground, and lift the hips up and back down with facing dog. A little bit of movement here, pedaling out the feet. Good. And then we'll shift forward back into that high push-up. You can stay right here with your knees off the mat or bring those knees down onto the mat. And we're going to take a count of 3 to lower all the way down onto the belly. So press down into those fingers, elbows tucked in close to the body. So you take 3, 2, and 1. Gently lower belly onto the ground. Point your toes, scoop the chest forward, come up into Cobra, only going up as high as comfortable. Good. Stretch to the front of the body. Hold it here. Good. One more deep breath. And very carefully lower all the way back down into the ground. Soften here for a moment. Curl the toes under. Push up into your high push-up position on your toes or on your knees. Then draw the hips up and back, coming into downward facing dog. You don't have to stay still in this down dog. You can pedal out the feet, bend one knee and then the other. A little bit of movement might feel good. Shifting the hips side to side. Good. From here, shift forward back into a high push-up. As always, knees can come down for a softer version. Let's take a count of 3 to lower all the way down onto the floor. 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Release belly onto the ground. Point the toes. Draw your chest forward. Again, lifting up into your Cobra. Good stretch. Nice. One more deep breath. And very carefully release all the way back down onto the ground. Curl your toes under. Back onto your knees. Curl your toes under. Lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Good. At the end of this exhale, send your gaze up in between the hands. Bring the feet to the top of the mat. You can step it up, walk it up, or hop the feet up. Just hold it here for a moment. Let the upper body just relax forward. You can definitely move a little here. Do whatever it takes to soften the upper body. And feel free to move around a little. Good. And the next inhale, bend your knees as you sweep your arms out, reaching out far. Reach the arms overhead. Take a gentle back bend. And exhale, bring your hands back into a prayer position. And let's reach your arms overhead. Big stretch. Interlace fingers, point the index fingers, and take it over to the right side. And just hold it here. Get a good stretch to the left side of the body and just stay with it. Stay with the breath as well. Inhale, let's bring it back to the center and over to the other side. Excellent. Inhale, coming back to the middle. Release your hands, interlace the fingers behind your backs as you press the hands away from the hips. Allow the neck to soften. So just let the head drop. Press the hands away from the hips. Knees can be slightly bent. And just in your own way, you can press your hands slightly over to one side, so maybe slightly over to the right, back to center, and slightly over to the left. Good. Now let's bring it back to the center and release your hands. Let the arms relax back down onto the ground. Next, inhale, lift up halfway. So you can place your hands on your shins, on the mat, but lift up halfway for that flat back. Exhale, hands on the mat. Step the left foot back into a runner's lunge. So you've got your hands on the mat here. You're going to curl the back toe under. If it's too much, bring the back knee down. Okay. Good. And then we'll plant that left hand on the ground and reach that right hand up towards the ceiling. And then you're going to play around with that right arm. You can reach it forward and just play that big guitar. So the right arm is going to reach forward, down and back. Just a few of those big circles. And then we'll switch directions. Make sure those legs are firm, especially if you back knee. You have the back knee off the mat. Okay, let's take one more circle and take that right arm and place it across the low back so that the palm is facing outwards. And just press that right shoulder open that way. Stay with it. Take one more deep breath here at least. And then carefully unwind, bringing both hands down onto the ground. Step back into downward facing dog. Let's hold it here in down dog. Anytime you need to take a break, you can bring those knees down to rest in your child's pose instead. Okay, so stay here, downward facing dog. Shift forward into a high push-up position. Again, taking a count of 3 to 5 to get all the way down onto the ground. Okay, let's try for 5. Knees can come down if you like. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Belly drops gently. Point the toes. Draw your chest forward. Lift the chest up and back. Lift the chest forward and up into your Cobra. Just stay here. One more deep breath. And very carefully release all the way back down into the ground. Curl your toes under. Do your best to push up into either a high push up on your knees or onto your toes. Draw back into downward facing dog. Again, press down into those arms, into those hands. Make sure that your thumbs and index fingers are pressed down firmly so that not all your weight is on your wrist. Okay. One more deep breath. Take that left foot, help it forward in between the hands so that you're taking a runner's lunge with that front knee over the front ankle. Back toe curled under or lower it down for a softer version. All right, so we're going to plant the right hand down onto the ground and take your left hand, reach it towards the back wall, reach it up and around, drawing that big circle, working that left shoulder joint. Okay, let's reverse direction. Keeping that back leg strong. Excellent. And we'll end up with that left arm across the low back with the palm facing outwards. And you press that left shoulder open. Hold it there. You got it. Release both hands down onto the mat. Now push off of that back foot so that your back foot lands up to the top of the mat. So coming up, and then we'll fold into a forward bend, softening. Moving to a chair pose, bend your knees slightly, come into a chair pose as you sweep your arms out, and then carefully with a flat back, straighten those legs, reach your arms overhead, take that gentle back bend, and exhale, bring your hands into a prayer position. All right, let's hold it here for a moment. Restore your breath. And let's go. Inhale, stretch your arms out, reach your arms overhead, take a gentle back bend, and exhale to fold into a forward bend. A little stretch to the back of the legs, and when we're doing arms, we want to get a whole body stretch, even though we're focusing on specific parts of the body. So maybe wrap your hands around the back of the calves, so just let the arms dangle down. If that's a little bit too much, you can always just hold on to the back of the thighs, no big deal. Okay. And try a little compression here if you like. Bend your knees and bring your belly to the thighs, just holding on to whatever's available to you. And then with the belly and the thighs, try straightening your legs a little, and you'll find that you might get a little deeper into the stretch, into this forward bend that way. All right, one more deep breath like this. And we're going to release those hands down into the ground. We'll step the right foot back into a runner's lunge. Gently lower the back knee down onto the mat to come into your dragon pose. The hands on the ground is fine, or you want to lift up, hands on the thighs, or reaching the arms overhead. Maybe even a gentle back bend, the hands together. So be very careful as you approach these different stages of your dragon pose, you want to make sure you are doing what's right for your body. Enough to feel the stretch, but not so much that you start to lose your the form of this pose. Good. One more deep breath. Okay, and let's release those hands back down onto the mat. Make your way back to downward facing dog. So take it back. Find your way back to downward dog. It might feel good here to just walk it out a little, bending your knee one at a time. A little bit of movement. Okay, and we're shifting forward to come into side plank pose. So for this one, if you find that it's hard to be on your wrist, we're going to roll over to the right side. Hard to remain on your wrist for this one. You can always come on down to your forearms instead. But you want to make sure that the wrist is at least under the shoulders or slightly forward. And pick a pose, pick a position for your legs. Softer version, bottom knee can be down. You can have the feet staggered or stacked. Okay, and then strong line to the body, working that right arm and also the core. And if you want a little bit more, you can reach the left hand up towards the ceiling. And feel free to take those variations if you want to come to star formation or tree pose here as well. It's up to you what you want to do, okay? So let's stay here. One more deep breath, starting to shake. All right, and then let's release both hands back down onto the mat, and we'll find our way back to downward facing dog. Okay, just a moment here, downward dog. If you need to come into child's pose to roll out that right wrist a little bit, go for it. Now let's make sure to balance it out on the other side. So you're going to shift forward and roll over to your left side. And for this one, your bottom knee can be down, your feet can be staggered or stacked just as before. Okay. And you've got the option to stretch that right hand up towards the ceiling or just leave it at your waist. Take those variations. Star formation, okay, or tree pose, and it's normal to shake. Here we go, one more deep breath, and release both hands back down onto the ground. Find your way back to downward facing dog. Again, taking child's pose. To roll out that left wrist a little is no problem. You just go ahead and do what needs to be done to feel comfortable. Okay, good. And then we're back to our downward dog. If you're not already there, head back to down dog. Then shift forward. Once again, we're taking 5 deep breaths, 5 counts to come down onto the floor. Holding it here from your knees or from your toes. Strong core, strong arms. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Belly on the ground. Point those toes. Lift up into Cobra. Beautiful. Let's take it back into down dog. Curl the toes under. Lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Good. Take the right foot and step it forward in between the hands for runner's lunge, and then gently lower the back knee down onto the mat for your dragon pose. Back knee at least slightly behind the hips. Let the hips sink down and forward. If you need more, hands on the front thigh. Left hand up, both hands up, and maybe even a little bit of a back bend, stretching through the shoulders and the front of the body. Okay, let's bring those hands back down into the mat. Curl the back toe under. Push off the back foot so that both feet land at the top of the mat. Relax into a forward bend. Next, inhale, lift up halfway for a flat back. Exhale to fold. And inhale, let's come all the way back up. Stretch your arms out. Gentle back bend. Let's fold right away into forward bend. Good. Next, inhale, lift up halfway for a flat back. Exhale, hands on the mat. You can step one foot at a time back. You can try jumping back into a high push-up. Your choice. Okay. Take it back into downward facing dog. And just hold it here for a moment. in down dog. Good. Next, we're shifting forward and placing the knees down onto the ground to take our low plank pose with the forearms on the ground. Into your shoulders about your elbows about shoulders width apart as you plant them down onto the mat, and then either palms together or interlace your fingers. And we've got either stepping the knees back for strong core. Okay, so you can come on down to the belly first just to see how it feels like, a little bit of a back bend, and then lift the belly off the ground so that you know where that straight line is, and then curl the toes under, straight legs for a little bit more. Okay, we'll move into a dolphin pose here, shifting the hips up and back. You might have to walk the feet a little further forward and make sure you're strong, core strong. Your shoulder getting a good workout here. Hold it there. Good. And then shifting forward and bringing the belly all the way down to the ground. Release your hands. Come into Sphinx pose. Alright. You can keep those hands in Sphinx pose next for your dolphin pose, or bring it back to that first interlaced fingers version. Okay. Lift the knees, lift the hips off the mat. If you want more, lift the knees off the mat as well. So plank pose with Sphinx arms. Okay. Shift the hips up and back, coming into dolphin. Might have to adjust the feet, walking it forward. Make sure the abs are engaged. Feeling it into the shoulders. Okay, one more deep breath. And then shifting forward into your low plank. And then very gently lower the hips down onto the ground. Lift the chest, coming into Sphinx. Good. Alright. Relax the shoulders, long neck. One more breath. Let's curl those toes under. Lift back into dolphin once again. Okay. You can try lifting the right leg off the mat, coming into three-legged dolphin. Press down into those arms, the forearms nice and strong. One more breath. And then let's bring that right leg back down onto the ground. Other side, lifting the left leg up, floating it off the ground. Again, strong. Everything is strong. 2 and 1. Release that left foot down onto the ground. Back into plank. And then gently allow the belly to drop, the hips to relax, coming into Sphinx. If that's too much now, come into a resting pose. Just rest your head on your hands. Okay. Let's take one more breath there. Resting or in Sphinx. And we'll make our way back up into downward facing dog. Okay, so let's come back into down dog and just hold it there. Good. Next, we'll walk our hands forward a little wider towards the back of the hands. You can stay here and come into a squat as best as you can. Just be very careful with the knees. Maybe the heels are off the ground. Maybe you can bring the heels all the way down into the ground. And just hands in prayer position. If you're able to bring the heels down, make sure the spine is long. You just want to settle here for a moment. You're welcome to stay here or join me in crow's pose. So to come into crow's pose, you want to make sure that you've got a good foundation with the hands. They are about shoulders width apart, and that your knees are able to rest on your triceps or at least hug your shoulders. Today, if you're not used to doing a crow pose, you want to make sure at least you're transferring some weight to the hands. Okay, so good spread to those fingers. Try to land the knees on top of the tricep. Take your gaze slightly forward and then scoop up through the belly to round the spine a little and start to transfer the weight to the hands. Maybe one foot can come off the ground and the other, or you just come in to your crow pose and a little shaky at first, and do your best. Do your best. Take breaks whenever you need to. And we'll hold it there. See if you can get a little longer than me. And then release all the way down onto the ground. And soften here for a moment. You might have to come back into a down dog or take it into a child's pose. The down dog to stretch it out. And then come into child's pose perhaps. A little bit of rolling out of the wrist might feel really nice here. And then we'll try that once again. Sometimes the second time is a little better. Okay. So again, come into the squat and just stay there if you don't want to do crow pose today. Again, good spread to the fingers as though you're coming into that downward dog. Knees on top of the triceps or squeezing into those shoulders. Press down into those hands. And then maybe try lifting one foot or the other, transferring weight to the hands. Again, gaze slightly forward in front of the hands. Really round out through the spine and then look for a little tilt forward. Like a little seesaw, but you want to find that balance and just hold it there. Some people can do this really gracefully. I seem to shake a lot. But it's what you get. All right, here we go. One more breath. Oops, and then release. You can do that a little longer if you want. And then we'll take it back into that child's pose or down dog. And give that little movement. Roll out the wrists. Give that little massage. Good. Let's come and grab a seat. A comfortable seated position. And we're just going to take that right hand, place it down on the ground, reach that left hand up and over. Get a good side stretch into the shoulders, into the arms. Almost as if you want to press the chest up towards the ceiling, or opening there. Good. That same left arm comes across the body, so you can hold onto your forearms or a little bit into your triceps as you press that arm in close to the body for that stretch. Let's take it into a tricep stretch. Hold on with your right hand, hold on to the left elbow as you press that, get into the tricep stretch. Bring the left bicep as close to the ear as you can. If you want, you can even tilt slightly back over to the right side for a little bit more. Good. And then use that same right hand to very gently hold on to, left hand to very gently hold on to the right ear. You can walk that right hand away from the body if you need a little bit more. This is very gentle, be very gentle here. Just want to stretch out the neck muscles. All right. Okay, let's do the other side. And you can switch those legs around. And then we'll place the left hand on the ground. Take your right hand, reach it up and over. Almost as though you want to press that right shoulder open, exposing the chest towards the ceiling. Keep that right hip grounded. One more deep breath. And then soften, come back up to seated. Bring that right arm across the chest. You can hold onto the backs of the forearms or the triceps. Just want to get that shoulder stretched to the right shoulder. Yeah, let's take that tricep stretch. Right hand, left hand holds onto the right elbow, and you can even lean slightly over to the opposite side if you need more, so towards your left side. Good. And let's relax that. Use your right hand to gently hold onto the opposite ear. And if you need more, you can take that left hand and walk it away from the body. Get a good neck stretch. Again, be gentle. Alright, and then let's relax that. Can you gaze over to one shoulder, rotate the chin down towards the chest, to the other. Just side to side, stretching out those neck muscles. And then just coming back to seated, you're going to interlace the fingers behind your back, just switching the grip around if you always have it one way. And press the hands away from the hips and see if you can bow forward. If that's not happening today, just hands away from the shoulders will do. Good, one more deep breath. And let's release that softening. Let's take a moment to roll out those shoulders. And switch. Good. Alright, now let's come on down onto our backs. Just have your feet about hips width apart, knees pointed straight up towards the ceiling. And you're going to take your left arm and bring it under the right in eagle arms. And just do your best. If that doesn't happen today with the palms against one another, just backs of the hands will do, or even grabbing opposite shoulders. We're going to just relax that for a moment. Soften the shoulders. And then bring the elbows a little closer towards the face and up towards the ceiling. Close your eyes, deep breaths. And release that and switch. Again, a little lift to the elbows up towards the ceiling. Now relax your arms in a cactus position. And then do your best to slide the arms overhead, keeping your arms on the ground as you do that. Stretch your legs out. And a little side stretch here, walking the upper body, inching the upper body towards the left side. And you can grab a hold of the right wrist or elbow. And at the same time, you can walk your feet over to the same left side to create that crescent shape on the back, while on your back. If you need more, go ahead and cross that right ankle on top of the left. We did some core work too here, so just nice to feel that stretch to the obliques. Okay, let's bring it back to the center and repeat the same thing on the other side. You can inch your upper body towards the right, legs towards the right. You need more, grab a hold of the wrist or the elbow and then cross that left ankle on top of the right and just relax here for a moment. Take deep breaths. Good. And let's relax. Bring it back to the middle. Relax your arms. Make sure you're back to the center of the mat. And take any last movements that you need to take here. So just a little free time to maybe roll out the knees, or, a little movement to the neck and the shoulders, anything that you need to do. Maybe a final twist as well. That could be a good place for it here. And that's it for today. We're going to move into Shavasana. I'm just going to leave you here. I'll try to take 2 minutes, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes of Shavasana, and then you will be done and you can go on with the rest of your day. Hopefully you enjoyed that and that helped work out the upper body and also stretch it out at the same time. Thank you very much and namaste.